stood in my grandmother's living room on a humid Saturday in July, surrounded by family I hadn't seen in months. The air conditioner wheezed against the Memphis heat, barely keeping up with 20-some bodies packed into a space meant for Sunday dinners. My grandmother had passed 3 weeks earlier, and now we were here for the reading of the will, though most of my cousins were more interested in the fried chicken my Aunt Diane had brought than in any inheritance. I'd driven up from my studio apartment in Jackson the night before, sleeping on my cousin Tamara's couch because I couldn't afford a hotel. The drive itself had been an exercise in anxiety. My check engine light had been on for 6 months, and every strange noise from under the hood made me wonder if this would be the trip where my car finally gave up. At 32, I was working 2 jobs, medical billing during the day and bartending. Thursday through Saturday nights, trying to dig myself out from under student loans for a nursing degree I'd never finished. My grandmother knew that. She'd held my hand through my mother's funeral 5 years ago, then watched me spiral, drop out of school, lose my apartment, lose everything that mattered. She never said I was disappointing her, but I saw it in the way she'd touch my cheek and say nothing when I showed up wearing the same clothes I'd worn the visit before. My sister Rochelle sat in Grandma's favorite armchair, like she owned it already. She probably thought she did. She'd done well for herself, married a dentist, lived in Germantown in one of those neighborhoods where the lawns looked like golf courses and the houses all had 3-car garages. She drove a Mercedes SUV that cost more than I'd made in 2 years. She wore a cream-colored suit that day, her hair freshly done at a salon I couldn't afford to walk past, nails perfect, makeup flawless. I'd come in jeans and a black blouse I'd borrowed from Tamara, because my own clothes were either work uniforms or stained with things I didn't want to think about. When I'd walked in, Rochelle's eyes had swept over me once, dismissive, before she turned back to her phone. The lawyer, Mr. Patterson, was a thin black man in his 60s who'd known our family for decades. He'd handled my grandfather's estate, my mother's estate, helped my uncle with his business incorporation. He sat at the dining table with the will in front of him, reading glasses perched on his nose, waiting for everyone to settle. My aunts and uncles filled the couch and the folding chairs someone had brought in from the church. I stood near the doorway to the kitchen, half hidden behind my cousin Jerome, the way I'd learned to make myself small in rooms where I didn't belong. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat and began reading. Most of it was standard. Personal items distributed among the grandchildren, some money set aside for the church, her car going to my Uncle Raymond, who'd driven her to dialysis 3 times a week for the last 2 years. Then he got to the house, to my granddaughters, Rochelle Marie Winters and Keisha Diane Winters. I leave my home at 847 Riverside Drive to be held in joint ownership with the understanding that neither can sell without the consent of both. I felt the words before I understood them. Joint ownership. This house, the 3-bedroom brick home where I'd spent every summer of my childhood, where Grandma had taught me to make her peach cobbler from scratch, where I'd hidden in the attic reading books when the world got too loud, half of it was mine. My throat tightened. I'd expected nothing. I'd prepared myself for nothing. And now I had half of something worth more than I'd ever owned in my life. Rochelle's head snapped toward me. Her expression was cold, calculating, the look she got when someone had made an error at her expense. That can't be right. Mr. Patterson looked at her over his glasses. It's quite clear. Your grandmother amended her will 6 months ago. The house belongs to both of you equally. Why would she do that? Rochelle's voice had that edge it got when things didn't go her way, sharp enough to cut. Keisha doesn't even have a stable job. She can't maintain a property. The room went quiet. My Aunt Diane stopped mid-bite of her chicken. Uncle Raymond shifted in his chair, looking at the floor. Tamara, standing near me, touched my arm, but I couldn't move. I felt every eye in the room on me, felt the weight of their pity and their agreement. because Rochelle wasn't wrong, not completely. She probably thought, Mr. Patterson started, but Rochelle cut him off. She thought wrong. Rochelle stood up, smoothing her suit jacket with hands that trembled slightly, not from nerves, but from barely controlled anger. Keisha can't even keep her own life together. She dropped out of school, can't hold down a career, barely scrapes by month to month, and Grandma wants her to be responsible for a property worth $200,000. She turned to face me directly, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not just anger, but contempt. Pure, undiluted contempt. You're a failure, Keisha. You've been failing since Mom died, and everyone here knows it. Everyone's been watching you fail for 5 years, waiting for you to get it together, and you never do. This house deserves better than someone who'll let it fall apart because she's too busy feeling sorry for herself to actually do anything productive. The words landed like physical blows. I couldn't breathe. My aunt's hand went to her mouth. Uncle Raymond said, "Rochelle, that's enough." But his voice was weak, uncomfortable. The voice of someone who agrees but wishes the truth hadn't been spoken aloud. No one else said anything. No one defended me. My cousin Jerome shifted away slightly, like failure might be contagious. Rochelle wasn't finished. She took a step closer and I could smell her perfume, something expensive I'd never be able to afford. I'm not going to let you drag this family's legacy down with you. Grandma built something here. She worked her whole life to own this house, to have something to pass down. And you're going to destroy that because you don't have the sense or the spine to admit you can't handle it. She pulled a checkbook from her purse, clicked a pen. "I'll buy out your half. You need the money anyway, right? What are you making? $30,000 a year? 40 if you count the tips from pouring drinks for drunks? I'll give you $70,000 cash. Take it and do something useful with your life for once. Go back to school, move somewhere cheaper. I don't care. Just don't embarrass this family any more than you already have." $70,000. It was more money than I'd ever had at one time. More than enough to pay off my loans, get my own place, maybe go back to school. But the way she said it, like she was doing me a charity, like I was so pathetic I should be grateful for her generosity, like I was an embarrassment she needed to pay to go away, made my stomach turn. "I need to think about it," I heard myself say, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be. "Think about what?" Rochelle laughed, but there was no humor in it. It was the laugh of someone who'd already won and was just waiting for you to realize it. "You think you have options here? You can't afford to maintain this place. You can't afford the property taxes. You can't even afford to fix that piece of junk you drove here in. You can't afford anything. Take the money before I change my mind and decide you're not even worth that much." Mr. Patterson interjected, his voice careful and professional. "Ms. Winters, any sale of the property requires both signatures. Your sister has every right to consider her options and seek independent counsel if she wishes. She'll sign." Rochelle grabbed her purse. "Because she knows I'm right. She's known she's a failure for years. This is just me saying it out loud." She looked around the room at our family, at people who'd known me since I was born, who'd watched me grow up, who'd watched me fall apart. "Anyone want to argue with that? Anyone think Keisha's got what it takes to handle a property like this?" Silence. Heavy, damning silence. I looked at my Aunt Diane, who'd always told me I was smart, that I'd figure things out. She looked away. I looked at Uncle Raymond, who'd let me help him fix his car when I was 16, who'd said I had good hands. He studied his shoes. Tamara squeezed my arm harder, but even she didn't speak. Rochelle walked out, heels clicking on the hardwood floor Grandma had kept polished for 50 years. The screen door slammed behind her. The sound echoed. I stood there, unable to look at anyone. My aunt tried to say something comforting, something about Rochelle being stressed, about not taking it personally, but I couldn't hear it over the rushing in my ears. I mumbled an excuse and left through the back door, Sat on the porch steps where Grandma used to snap green beans on summer evenings, where she'd taught me to shell peas, where she'd told me about her own mother and the house they'd lost during the Depression. Tamara came out a few minutes later, sat beside me without saying anything at first. She pulled a cigarette from her purse. She'd quit 2 years ago, but apparently kept them for emergencies, and lit it, taking a long drag before offering it to me. I didn't smoke, but I took it anyway, coughed on the inhale. "She shouldn't have said that," Tamara said quietly, but she wasn't wrong. I stared at the garden, overgrown now, full of weeds choking out the flowers Grandma had planted every spring. I am failing. I have been for years. That doesn't mean it means exactly what she said it means. I handed back the cigarette. I can't take care of this house. I can barely take care of myself. You're going through a hard time. That doesn't make you a failure. 5 years, Tamara. It's been 5 years since Mom died. At some point, it stops being a hard time and starts being who you are. She didn't argue. What could she say? I gave her back the cigarette, went to my car, and left. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just drove. 4 hours back to Jackson in a car with a check engine light that had been on for 6 months, listening to it rattle and wheeze and hoping it would make it home. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The shame was too heavy for tears. The next morning, I woke up on Monica's couch. I'd been subletting a room in her apartment for 8 months, paying $400 a month I could barely afford. My phone had 3 missed calls from Rochelle and 2 text messages. The first, "Stop being dramatic and call me back." The second, "I'm having papers drawn up. You can sign them next week and we can move on." I didn't respond. I went to work at the medical billing office, sat in my cubicle processing insurance claims, and existed. My supervisor stopped by my desk mid-morning. "Keisha, you doing okay? You seem distracted." "I'm fine." "Because you've made some errors this week. Nothing major, but I'll fix them." She hesitated, like she wanted to say more, then just nodded and walked away. I fixed the errors. I finished my shift. I went home, changed into my bar uniform, and worked until 2 in the morning serving drinks to people who didn't see me, didn't care about me, who left crumpled dollar bills as tips and thought they were being generous. For 3 days, I went through the motions. Work, sleep, work, sleep. Rochelle kept calling. I didn't answer. On the 4th day, I finally listened to the voicemails. The first 2 were Rochelle, increasingly impatient, increasingly angry. "This is ridiculous. Call me back." Then, "You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to help you." The 3rd voicemail was Mr. Patterson, his voice gentle, grandfatherly. "Keisha, when you're ready to discuss the property and your options, please give me a call. There's no rush. Your grandmother wanted you to have time to think." I called Mr. Patterson that evening from Monica's bathroom with the shower running so she wouldn't hear. "I'm not selling," I told him. There was a pause. "May I ask why?" "Because my grandmother left it to me. She must have had a reason." "She did," he said. "She told me when she amended the will that she believed you needed something permanent, something that couldn't be taken away. Something that would be yours no matter what happened, no matter what anyone said about you. Something that couldn't be taken away." I sat on the closed toilet lid, phone pressed to my ear, and felt something crack inside my chest. Grandma had known. She'd known what Rochelle thought of me. She'd known what everyone thought of me. And she'd given me the house anyway. "What do I do?" I asked. "That depends on what you want." "I want to keep it." But Rochelle said, "Your sister said many things, I'm sure. But the legal reality is simple. You own half that property. She cannot sell it without your consent. She cannot force you out. She can try to make things difficult, but ultimately, the house is as much yours as it is hers." She threatened legal action. She can file a partition suit, attempt to force a sale through the courts. It's possible in Tennessee, but it's expensive, time-consuming, and the outcome is far from certain, particularly if one owner is living in the property and maintaining it. Living in it? You have every right to occupy a home you own. If you wanted to move in, I can't afford to move to Memphis. I have jobs here. I understand. I'm simply outlining your options. He paused. But Keisha, if you truly want to keep the house, presence matters. Courts are more favorable to owners who demonstrate active investment in the property. I thanked him and hung up. I sat in Monica's bathroom for a long time, listening to the shower run, thinking about Grandma's house, about the room I'd slept in every summer, about the kitchen where she'd taught me to cook, about the garden we'd tended together, about having something that was mine, something no one could call me a failure for keeping. The next day, I gave notice at the medical billing office. My supervisor seemed relieved. "I hope you find something that's a better fit," she said, which was a polite way of saying I'd been doing terrible work for months. The bar owner just shrugged when I told him, "Good luck with whatever you're doing." Monica helped me pack. Everything I owned fit in my car in one trip. Clothes in garbage bags, a few books, my laptop, a box of kitchen things. I'd accumulated almost nothing in 8 months of living there. "You sure about this?" Monica asked as I loaded the last bag. "No." "But you're doing it anyway?" "I don't know what else to do." She hugged me. "Call me when you get there. Let me know you're okay." I drove to Memphis on a Tuesday in August. The air conditioning in my car had stopped working somewhere around mile marker 50. I arrived sweating, exhausted, scared. I sat in the driveway of Grandma's house for 20 minutes before I could make myself go inside. The house was exactly as she'd left it. Furniture covered in sheets, her reading glasses on the side table next to her Bible, a half-finished crossword puzzle on the kitchen counter. The air was stale, thick with heat and absence. I walked through slowly, touching things. The back of the couch where she always sat, the dining table where we'd eaten countless meals, the door frame in the hallway where she'd marked my height every summer until I was 12. In her bedroom, everything was untouched. Her bed was made. Her slippers sat beside it. A cardigan hung on the back of her chair. I opened her closet and her smell hit me. Oil of Olay and lavender sachets and something uniquely her. I sat on her bed and finally cried. I cried for her. I cried for my mother. I cried for the person I'd been before everything fell apart, and for the person I'd become. Someone my own sister could call a failure in front of our whole family without anyone disagreeing. When I was done, I got up, washed my face in her bathroom, and started making the house livable. I pulled sheets off furniture. I opened windows. I found cleaning supplies under the kitchen sink and started scrubbing. Rochelle showed up the next day. I heard her car in the driveway, heard her key in the lock. She walked in and found me in the living room, sweeping. "What are you doing here?" "I live here now." Her face went through several expressions: surprise, anger, calculation. "You can't just move in without discussing it with me." "Mr. Patterson said I have every right to live in a property I own." "This is ridiculous. You're being spiteful." "I'm being practical. I needed a place to live. I have a place to live." "You needed money. You needed to not be a burden on everyone around you." She looked around the living room with disgust, taking in my garbage bags of clothes in the corner, my laptop on the coffee table, the evidence of my poverty on full display. "What are you going to do, Keisha? Work at McDonald's? This house needs repairs. It needs landscaping. The roof is 20 years old. The HVAC system is ancient. It needs someone who can actually take care of it, not someone who's going to live here like a squatter until everything falls apart. Then I'll take care of it." With what money? I didn't have an answer for that. She knew it. She stood there waiting for me to admit defeat, but I just kept sweeping. After a long moment, she turned and left. I heard her on the phone before she even made it to her car, her voice sharp and angry, carrying through the open windows. Completely unreasonable, needs to be forced out. I want to know my legal options. That first month was brutal. I found work at a nursing home in Midtown. Entry-level, minimum wage, $9.50 an hour. After taxes, I brought home about $1,200 a month. The property taxes alone were going to be almost $5,000 due in November. The utilities ran about $250 a month. Food, gas, car insurance. I did the math over and over, trying to make it work, and it never did. I started selling things. Grandma's china first, the set she'd used for every holiday dinner, the one her mother had given her. I got $300 for it at an antique shop downtown. It hurt, but I paid the water bill, the electric bill. I kept the lights on. Her costume jewelry went next. Boxes of it, some pieces older than I was. The antique dealer gave me $150. I took it. I sold her sewing machine for $75, her record player for $100, a box of vinyl records I knew she'd loved that she used to play on Sunday mornings while she cooked, $200 to a collector who got excited about finding original Motown pressings. Each sale felt like a betrayal. Each time I handed over something that had been hers, I felt like I was proving Rochelle right, that I couldn't take care of this house, that I was destroying our grandmother's legacy piece by piece just to survive another month. But I paid the bills. The house stayed mine. Rochelle drove by sometimes. I'd see her Mercedes slow down in front of the house, see her looking at the overgrown yard, the paint starting to peel on the shutters, the gutter hanging loose on the east side. She never stopped. She never came inside. She was just watching, waiting for me to fail spectacularly enough that she could swoop in and save the property from me. In September, the air conditioner died. I woke up drenched in sweat, the house silent except for my own breathing. I checked the thermostat, nothing. Checked the breaker, fine. The unit itself was just dead. 30-year-old compressor finally giving up. I called 3 repair companies. The quotes ranged from $1,100 to $1,500. I had $243 in my checking account and 8 days until my next paycheck. I spent the next week sleeping with every window open, fans running at full speed, sweating through Grandma's old sheets. The heat was oppressive, the kind of Memphis heat that feels like it's trying to kill you. I'd come home from work and just lie on the floor in front of the box fan, too exhausted to move. Finally, I found a repair guy who agreed to fix it for $800 if I could pay half up front, half in 30 days. I said yes before I could think about where I'd find the second $400. I sold Grandma's sewing machine, her record player, and called my old bar in Jackson to see if they needed anyone for weekend shifts. They didn't. I posted on Facebook asking if anyone needed houses cleaned, errands run, anything. My cousin Tamara's friend hired me to clean her apartment for $50. Another woman needed help organizing her garage, $40. I picked up 3 more cleaning jobs, worked every spare hour I had, and made the second payment with $6 to spare. Rochelle heard about the AC repair somehow. Family gossip travels fast. She called me for the first time in weeks. You're selling her things? I'm keeping the house. By destroying everything she left behind. That's your plan. Sell off 50 years of her life so you can squat in a house you can't afford? What's your plan, Rochelle? Wait until I'm desperate enough to take whatever pennies you're willing to throw at me? My plan is to preserve her legacy, not pawn it off piece by piece because you're too proud to admit you can't do this. I'm doing it. You're barely surviving. There's a difference. I hung up on her. It felt good. For about 5 minutes. Then I looked around at the nearly empty house, at the blank spaces where Grandma's things had been, and felt sick. October came. I picked up a second job cleaning houses 2 days a week. My back started hurting constantly, a deep ache between my shoulder blades that never went away. I'd wake up at 5:30, work at the nursing home until 3, drive across town to clean someone's house until 7, come home and collapse. I fell asleep at 8:30 every night, too exhausted to eat properly, too tired to care. But I paid the bills. Every month somehow I paid the bills. The house stayed mine. Then November hit and the property tax notice came. $4,712, due by the 30th. I had $936 saved. I sat at Grandma's kitchen table, the same table where she'd taught me to snap beans, where we'd played cards on rainy afternoons, where she'd helped me with homework when I was young and still believed I'd amount to something, and I stared at that number, $4,712. For the first time since I'd moved in, I cried. Not sad crying, but angry, frustrated, defeated crying. I'd worked so hard. I'd sold things I loved. I'd cleaned strangers' toilets and scrubbed their floors and smiled while they treated me like I was invisible. And it still wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. The next morning, my body made the decision before my mind could. I was so tired I could barely stand. I called in sick to the nursing home for the first time ever. I slept until noon, woke up aching all over, and forced myself to face reality. I called Mr. Patterson. If I can't pay the property tax, what happens? The county can place a lien on the property. Eventually, if the debt isn't satisfied, they can force a tax sale. How long do I have? A few months, typically. But Keisha, if you're struggling this much, I'm not selling to Rochelle. I wasn't going to suggest that, but there are other options. You could look into payment plans with the county, hardship deferrals. Would any of that work? Really? He sighed. In your situation, probably not. You'd need to demonstrate a clear path to payment, and based on your income, I know. I'm sorry. I spent the rest of November in a haze of desperation. I picked up every shift I could at the nursing home, worked myself until my hands shook with exhaustion. I cleaned houses on my days off. I babysat for anyone who needed it. I posted online offering to do yard work, grocery shopping, anything anyone would pay me for. My cousin Tamara called mid-month. I heard about the property taxes. Word travels fast. I have some money saved, not a lot, but I could help. No. Keisha, don't be stupid. Let me help you. I can't. My voice broke. I can't take money from family. I can't prove Rochelle right, that I'm a burden, that I need everyone else to carry me. This isn't about Rochelle. Everything's about Rochelle. Everything's about proving I'm not what she said I was. And if you lose the house trying to prove that, then at least I'll know I tried on my own. She was quiet for a long moment. There's a catering company that needs servers for the holiday season. Corporate parties, weddings, that kind of thing. The pay is decent, the tips are better, but the hours are brutal. I'll take it. She gave me the number. I called that night, got hired over the phone. They needed bodies more than they needed experience. I worked my first catering event 3 days later, a corporate Christmas party for a law firm downtown. 12-hour shift on my feet the entire time, serving hors d'oeuvres to lawyers in expensive suits who looked right through me. I made $230, including tips. I worked every event they'd give me through the end of November. Holiday parties for companies I'd never heard of, serving people who treated me like furniture. I smiled, said, "You're welcome," to people who didn't say thank you, cleaned up their messes, and collected my money. By November 27th, I had $4,683. I was short $29. I sold the last thing I had left of value, my mother's wedding ring. The one thing I'd kept from her estate. The one thing I'd promised myself I'd never part with. I took it to a pawn shop on Union Avenue. The guy behind the counter offered me $50. It's worth more than that. Not to me, it's not. I took the 50. On November 28th, I walked into the county clerk's office and paid the property tax in full. $4,712 in cash, mostly 20s and 10s, some 5s and 1s. The clerk had to count it twice. It took 15 minutes. I stood there while she counted, hands shaking, trying not to cry. She gave me a receipt. I folded it carefully, put it in my wallet, walked out to my car, sat in the parking lot, and shook so hard I thought I might break apart. I didn't tell Rochelle. I didn't tell anyone except Mr. Patterson, who called me later that day. The county must have notified him. "You paid it." I paid it. "Keisha, I'm very proud of you." I started crying on the phone with him. I couldn't help it. I sold my mom's ring. "Oh, sweetheart." I sold everything that mattered, to keep a house I can barely live in. "But you kept it. That's what matters." "Is it? Is it really?" He didn't answer right away. "Your grandmother believed you could do this. She believed you were stronger than anyone gave you credit for." I'm starting to think she was right. I wiped my eyes. I don't feel strong. The strongest people rarely do. December was easier in some ways, harder in others. The catering work dried up after the holidays. I was back to just the nursing home and the cleaning jobs. The house was cold. The heating system was old, inefficient, expensive to run. I wore layers, used space heaters in whatever room I occupied, let the rest of the house stay frigid. My electric bill was still over $150 a month, but I'd made it through November. I'd paid the property taxes. The house was still mine. I allowed myself a moment to feel something like pride. It didn't last long. In January, Rochelle stopped calling, stopped driving by. I heard through Tamara that she'd consulted another lawyer about forcing a sale, but he'd told her the same thing the others had. With me living in the property and maintaining it, even barely, her legal options were limited and expensive. She wasn't giving up. She was just changing strategy. The silence was worse than the pressure. At least when she was calling, when she was driving by, I knew what she was thinking. Now I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The silence lasted 3 weeks before I started feeling it everywhere. It wasn't that Rochelle contacted me. She didn't. It was that I started hearing about her from everyone else. My Aunt Diane called to ask how I was doing, but her voice had that careful quality, like she was reading from a script. "Rochelle mentioned you might be struggling with the house. If you need help, honey, you know you can always ask." I said I was fine. I wasn't fine. Uncle Raymond stopped by unannounced one Saturday, said he was just in the neighborhood, which was a lie because he lived on the other side of Memphis. He walked through the house, commenting on things that needed fixing. The loose floorboard in the hallway, the crack in the bathroom tile, the way the front door stuck. "Place needs work," he said, like I didn't know. "Rochelle says you're doing your best, but maybe it's too much for one person," Rochelle says. Everyone had something Rochelle had said. I went to a family dinner at Aunt Diane's in February. It was supposed to be for my cousin's birthday, but the moment I walked in, conversations stopped. People smiled too quickly, hugged too carefully. My aunt seated me at the far end of the table, away from Rochelle, like we were children who couldn't be trusted not to fight. Rochelle didn't look at me once during dinner, didn't acknowledge me, didn't speak to me. But I heard her talking to our uncle about the property situation, her voice just loud enough to carry. I've tried to be reasonable, but some people would rather destroy something than admit they need help. I left before dessert. Tamara called me that night. "Don't listen to her." I'm not. "You are. I can hear it in your voice. She's doing this on purpose, you know, making you look bad without having to confront you directly." "I know. So why let her win?" "I'm not. I'm still here, aren't I?" But the doubt had started creeping in. Late at night, when the house was too quiet and the heating bill was too high, I'd lie in bed and hear Rochelle's voice from that first day. You're a failure. Everyone knows it. And I'd wonder if she was right. If all of this, the struggling, the scraping by, the selling everything I owned, was just me being too stubborn to admit what everyone else already knew. My phone would ring sometimes, calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I'd answer and hear breathing, then silence, then the click of someone hanging up. It happened 3 times in 1 week. I told myself it was spam calls, but part of me wondered if Rochelle was checking, seeing if I was still here, still answering. I started seeing her car in strange places, parked down the street when I left for work, driving past the nursing home during my shift. Once at the grocery store, I saw her standing in the parking lot, talking on her phone, watching the entrance. When I came out with my bags, she was gone. I mentioned it to Tamara. Do you think she's following me? I think she's trying to make you paranoid. It's working. The worst part was family events. Every gathering became a test. People would ask how the house was, their voices full of concern that felt like judgment. They'd mention things Rochelle had told them, that the yard was overgrown, that the gutters were falling apart, that I was living there like a college student with no furniture. Things that were true but felt cruel when repeated back to me by people who used to believe in me. At my cousin's baby shower in March, one of my aunts pulled me aside. "Honey, Rochelle is worried about you. She says you're not taking care of yourself, that you're working yourself to death over a house that's falling apart anyway. The house is fine, but are you fine?" I didn't answer. She patted my hand. "Sometimes the brave thing is knowing when to let go. Your grandmother would want you to be happy, not killing yourself to prove a point." I left the shower early, drove home, and sat in my car in the driveway for an hour. The house looked tired in the fading light. The paint was peeling worse. The yard was a mess. I didn't have time to mow, didn't have money to hire someone. One of the porch steps was cracked. Everything my family had noticed, everything Rochelle had pointed out, was true. Maybe I was destroying this place just by being here. The phone calls continued. Unknown numbers, silence, hang-ups. I stopped answering calls I didn't recognize. Then text messages started coming. No sender name, just, "Still think you can handle this? And everyone's talking about you, and she's just waiting for you to fail." I showed them to Tamara. "Is this her?" "I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it's one of her friends. Does it matter?" "It feels like I'm being watched all the time." "That's the point. She wants you scared. She wants you to give up." "I'm not going to." "I know, but Keisha, you can't let this make you crazy. You have to find a way to tune it out." I tried, but every time my phone buzzed, my heart raced. Every time I saw a car slow down in front of the house, I tensed. Every family gathering felt like walking into enemy territory where everyone had already decided I was wrong. In April, I ran into Rochelle at the pharmacy. We both reached for our prescriptions at the same time, and the pharmacist got confused, started to hand me hers. She pulled it back quickly, and our eyes met for the first time in months. "How are you, Keisha?" Her voice was pleasant, almost warm. "Fine." "The house holding up?" "It's fine." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm glad. I worry about you out there all alone, trying to manage everything by yourself. If you ever need anything, you know you can call me." I took my prescription and left without responding, but her words followed me home, echoed in the empty rooms. All alone, by yourself. Need anything. She was planting seeds, I realized, making me question whether I could do this, whether I should do this, and the worst part was, it was working. Some nights I'd lie awake doing math in my head. How much longer could I keep this up? How many more things could I sell? How many more months before something major broke and I couldn't afford to fix it? The doubt was a slow poison, and Rochelle had all the time in the world to let it work. It dropped in February. I came home from work to find a woman sitting in a car in front of the house. Professional looking, mid-40s, expensive suit. She got out when she saw me. "Keisha Winters?" "Yes." "My name is Angela Price. I'm a real estate developer. I'm interested in properties in this neighborhood." She handed me a business card. "I wanted to discuss a potential offer on your home." My stomach dropped. "I'm not selling." "I understand, but if you just hear me out, I'm not selling. Your sister mentioned you might be resistant to the idea, but I think if you understood the financial opportunity, of course." Rochelle. "My sister doesn't speak for me." She smiled, patient, practiced. "I understand there's joint ownership. I've actually already spoken with Rochelle at length. She's very interested in selling. I wanted to extend the same opportunity to you before exploring other options." "What other options?" "Well, I could purchase just her half of the property. It's unusual, but not unheard of. Then you and I would be co-owners." There it was, Rochelle's new plan. If she couldn't force me to sell to her, she'd sell to someone else, make my life difficult enough that I'd have to leave. "No," I said. "I'm prepared to offer $400,000 for the property. That's $200,000 for your half, significantly more than current market value for a home in this condition." The answer is no. "Ms. Winters, I don't think you understand the position you're in." "I understand perfectly. You want to buy my home, tear it down, or flip it, make a profit. My sister wants me out, and you both think I'm desperate enough or stupid enough to just hand it over." I walked past her toward my front door. "But I'm not selling. Not to you, not to her, not to anyone." She continued following me. "Please, just think about it. $200,000 could change your life." "My life doesn't need changing. My house needs keeping." I went inside and locked the door, stood in the hallway shaking, listening to her car start and drive away. She called 3 times that week. I didn't answer. She left voicemails explaining the offer, the opportunity, how foolish I was being. On the 4th call, I picked up. "Stop calling me. Ms. Winters, I really think—" I said, "Stop calling me. I'm not selling. I will never sell. If you call me again, I'll report you for harassment." I hung up. Mr. Patterson called the next day. "I heard you had a visit from Angela Price." Rochelle's getting creative. Indeed, Ms. Price's firm has a reputation for buying properties in developing neighborhoods, usually from owners who are struggling financially. They purchase below market value, renovate, and sell at significant profit. And Rochelle thinks I'm desperate enough to take the bait. Are you? I looked around Grandma's house, at the walls that needed paint, at the floors that needed refinishing, at all the things I couldn't afford to fix. No. Good. Because I did some research on Miss Price's company. They're legitimate but aggressive. If she purchases Rochelle's half, she will make your life as difficult as possible to force a sale. Can she do that? Not legally, but there are ways to make co-ownership challenging. Constant requests for property inspections, disputes about maintenance responsibilities, pressure tactics. So what do? You keep doing what you're doing. You maintain the property as best you can. You document everything, and you don't let them intimidate you into making a decision based on fear. Easier said than done. Angela Price called Rochelle's bluff 2 weeks later. Mr. Patterson called to tell me, Ms. Price has withdrawn her interest in the property. Apparently the complications of partial ownership and your resistance made it not worth her investment. I sat down, relief washing over me. So it's over? For now. But Keisha, your sister isn't going to stop. She wants to sell that house. She'll find another angle. He was right, but I'd survived this one. I'd survived November. I'd survived the AC breaking, the property taxes, Angela Price. I'd survived all of it. I could survive whatever came next. In March, something unexpected happened. I got promoted at the nursing home. One of the coordinators retired, and the administrator offered me the position. It came with a salary, $32,000 a year, and benefits, health insurance, paid sick days. It wasn't much by most standards, but it was more than I'd ever made before. "You've been reliable," the administrator told me. "The residents like you. The staff respects your work ethic. I think you'd be good at this." I took the job. For the first time in months, I could breathe a little easier. I could quit one of my cleaning jobs. I could sleep more than 5 hours a night. I could buy groceries without calculating every item's cost. I started taking online classes, community college, business administration, 2 classes to start. I didn't tell anyone. If I failed, if I had to drop out again, I didn't want witnesses. But the classes were manageable. I could do the work after dinner, before bed. I got B's on my first assignments, then an A. The first A should have felt good, should have felt like proof that I was moving forward, getting better, becoming the person Grandma had believed I could be. Instead, I stared at the grade on my laptop screen and felt my chest tighten with panic. This wouldn't last. It couldn't last. Good things didn't happen to me and stay good. They happened and then fell apart, and the higher I climbed, the farther I'd have to fall when it all came crashing down. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen, listening to the house settle around me. My mind started its familiar spiral. What if I failed the next assignment? What if the professor had graded this one too easily? What if I was only doing well because the material was simple and it would get harder, and I'd prove everyone right, that I couldn't finish what I started, that I was the same dropout failure I'd always been? I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, calculating. The new salary meant I could save maybe $300 a month if nothing broke, if I didn't get sick, if my car kept running. But 300 times 12 was only $3,600. Property taxes next year would be close to $5,000. I'd still be short. Unless I got another raise, unless nothing went wrong, unless. The promotion meant more responsibility at work, more pressure, more chances to fail publicly. What if I made a mistake? What if I wasn't actually good at this job and they'd just been desperate? What if in 6 months they realized they'd promoted the wrong person and I was back to minimum wage, back to working 2 jobs, back to barely surviving? I started keeping my phone on silent during work because every notification made me think something had gone wrong. A text from my supervisor meant I'd messed up. An email from the college meant I'd failed a quiz I didn't remember taking. My mind created disasters that hadn't happened yet, wouldn't happen, but felt inevitable anyway. One morning in April, I woke up and couldn't remember if I'd submitted an assignment the night before. I was 90% sure I had, but the 10% uncertainty sent me into such a panic that I called in sick to work, logged into the class portal, and checked 3 times. It was there. I'd submitted it. But I spent the rest of the day in bed anyway, exhausted from the adrenaline crash. Tamara noticed. "You seem stressed." "I'm fine." "You don't look fine. You look like you're waiting for something terrible to happen." "I'm just tired." "You're always tired. But this is different. This is like you don't trust that things are getting better." She was right. I didn't trust it. Every small victory felt temporary, fragile. One wrong move from shattering. The promotion could be revoked. The classes could get too hard. The house could develop a problem I couldn't afford to fix. And then, where would I be? Right back where Rochelle said I'd always end up. Failing, struggling, proving everyone right. I started sabotaging myself in small ways. I'd think about quitting school before I could fail out. I'd think about asking for fewer hours at work before they could fire me. Better to quit on my own terms than wait to be told I wasn't good enough. One night, I sat down to work on a paper that was due in 3 days and couldn't write a single word. Not because I didn't understand the material, but because if I didn't write it, I couldn't turn in something bad. If I didn't try, I couldn't fail. The logic made sense in my head even though I knew it was twisted. I turned in the paper 2 hours before the deadline, barely proofread, convinced it was terrible. I got an A-. The professor commented that my analysis was insightful, but I could have developed my argument more. I read the feedback and thought, she's just being nice. She feels sorry for me. This isn't real. Nothing felt real. The good things felt like lies my brain was telling me before revealing the truth, that I was still failing, just in slower motion. I stopped celebrating anything. Got a good evaluation at work? That just meant they hadn't noticed my mistakes yet. Finished the semester with 2 A's and a B? That just meant the next semester would be harder and I'd finally prove I couldn't handle it. Saved $400 in 1 month? That just meant something expensive would break soon and drain it all. Rochelle's voice lived in my head now. I didn't need her to call, didn't need her to drive by. She was always there, whispering that this was temporary, that I was temporary, that failure was the only permanent state I'd ever know. I started having nightmares. In them, I'd come home to find the house empty, sold out from under me. Or I'd wake up and realize I'd imagined the promotion, the classes, all of it. Or I'd be back in that living room with everyone watching while Rochelle called me a failure. Except this time, when I looked down at myself, I was wearing my work uniform, still poor, still struggling, and everyone was nodding because, of course, nothing had changed. Of course, I was still exactly who she'd said I was. I'd wake up sweating, heart racing, and have to walk through the house touching things to prove they were real. The walls I'd painted, the floor I'd fixed, the kitchen table that was mine. Real, real, real. But the words started to lose meaning. Tamara came over one Saturday and found me sitting in the garden, not working, just sitting. What's wrong? Nothing. Keisha. I'm waiting for it to fall apart. For what to fall apart? All of it. The job, the school, the house. I'm waiting for the thing I can't survive. Because there's always something. There's always one more thing that's too much. And I don't know what it is yet, but it's coming. She sat down next to me in the dirt. What if it's not? It always is. Not always. Sometimes things just get better and stay better. Not for me. Why not for you? I couldn't answer. Because Rochelle had said so? Because I'd failed before? Because good things weren't for people like me? People who dropped out and fallen apart and scraped by? Because I didn't deserve it? I got an A on my last paper, I said quietly. That's amazing. Is it? Or is it just proof that I'm capable of doing well, which makes it worse when I inevitably mess up? Tamara was quiet for a long moment. You're punishing yourself for succeeding. I'm protecting myself from failing. It's the same thing. Maybe it was, but I didn't know how to stop, didn't know how to trust that this was real, that I was actually doing better, that maybe Rochelle had been wrong. The fear was safer than hope. If I expected the worst, I couldn't be disappointed. If I waited for failure, I couldn't be surprised when it came. So I kept waiting, kept working, kept studying, kept maintaining the house. But I couldn't let myself feel good about any of it. Couldn't let myself believe it mattered, because believing would hurt too much when it all fell apart. I started fixing things around the house myself. YouTube became my teacher. I learned to fix the leaky faucet in the bathroom. I learned to replace the broken tiles in the kitchen. I repainted the shutters. One Saturday in April, standing on a ladder Tamara loaned me, carefully brushing white paint over peeling wood. Rochelle drove by while I was painting. I saw her car slow, saw her watching me work. She didn't stop, just drove past, then circled the block and drove past again, watching. I kept painting. In May, I cleared Grandma's garden, pulled weeds, turned the soil, planted tomatoes and green beans and squash like she used to. My back ached, my hands blistered, but seeing those first green shoots break through the dirt made something in my chest loosen. I was doing it. Not perfectly, not easily, but I was doing it. I finished my first semester of community college with 2 A's, enrolled in 2 more classes for summer, started working with a financial counselor at a nonprofit, learning to budget, to save, to plan beyond next month's bills. I opened a separate savings account for property taxes, set up automatic transfers from every paycheck, $50 at first, then $75, then $100. By July, I had $1,100 saved for November's taxes. By August, $2,000. I was going to make it. I was actually going to make it. On a Saturday in late August, exactly 1 year after I'd moved in, I was in the garden picking tomatoes when I heard a car door slam. I looked up, hands full of warm fruit, and saw Rochelle standing at the edge of the lawn. She looked different, thinner, tired. There were dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. Her clothes were still expensive, but they hung differently on her, like she'd lost weight without meaning to. "It looks good," she said finally, looking at the house, at the shutters I'd painted, at the garden I'd planted. I didn't respond, just put another tomato in my basket. "Can we talk?" "About what?" "About the house, about everything." I stood up, faced her, waited. She took a breath. It shook slightly. "I need you to sign something." There it was, another angle, another pressure tactic. "I'm not signing anything that involves selling this house." "It's not about selling, it's about refinancing. Malcolm and I are separating." She said it flatly, no emotion. "The divorce is complicated. My lawyer needs documentation on all my assets, including my half of this property. I need your signature to get a formal appraisal done." Malcolm, her dentist husband with the perfect practice and the perfect life. "Why do you need an appraisal?" "For the divorce settlement. I need to know what my assets are worth, what I can claim, what I might have to give up." Her voice cracked on the last word. I studied her face, saw things I'd missed before. The tremble in her hands, the way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes, the tightness around her mouth that spoke of stress I knew too well. "What happened?" She laughed, but it was hollow, broken. "Everything I worked for fell apart. Malcolm was cheating. Has been for years, apparently, with his dental hygienist. Very original." She looked at me finally, and I saw something I'd never seen from her before. Vulnerability. Raw, undefended vulnerability. "Our finances are a disaster. He was hiding debt. Credit cards, a second mortgage I didn't know about. We might lose the house in Germantown. I might lose everything." "I'm sorry." "Are you?" It wasn't accusatory, just curious. "Yes." She nodded slowly, like she was trying to believe me. "I was wrong, Keisha. About you, about everything. You've done something I couldn't do. You've actually kept this place going. You've honored what Grandma wanted in ways I never understood. She wanted us both to have it. She wanted me to learn something. Humility, probably. Turns out she knew me better than I knew myself." Rochelle looked at the garden, at the tomatoes growing in neat rows. "I called you a failure in front of everyone. I told you that you'd destroy this place, and instead you saved it." I didn't know what to say to that. "I'll have Mr. Patterson send over the appraisal paperwork. It's just a formality for the divorce. It doesn't affect your ownership or anything else. I need to know what I have left." She turned to leave, then stopped. "Are you in school?" "Community college, business administration." She smiled, and it looked genuine despite the sadness in it. "That's good. That's really good, Keisha. I mean that." "Thank you. If you ever want to sell your half, I won't fight you on it anymore. You've earned the right to make that choice however you want." She walked to her car, got in, sat there for a moment before starting the engine. Then she drove away. I stood in the garden holding my basket of tomatoes and felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, not reconciliation, just understanding. We'd both been tested by Grandma's will in different ways, And we'd both learned things we hadn't wanted to know about ourselves. The appraisal paperwork came 3 days later. I read through it carefully, had Mr. Patterson review it to make sure it was what Rochelle said it was. Just an assessment, no hidden clauses about selling. I signed it and sent it back. The appraisal came back in mid-September. The house was worth $280,000. Rochelle's half, $140,000. Mine, $140,000. More than double what she'd offered me that day in Grandma's living room. I didn't call her, didn't reach out, just kept living my life, kept working, kept studying, kept maintaining the house. I finished another semester with 2 A's and a B. I got another small raise at work. I saved money. Not much, but enough. I replaced the section of roof over the kitchen where it had started to leak. I adopted a cat from the shelter, a gray tabby I named Nina, who slept in Grandma's favorite chair and made the house feel less empty. November came. I paid the property taxes on time, in full, with money I'd saved. It didn't require selling anything. It didn't require desperation. I walked into the county clerk's office, handed over a check, got my receipt, and walked out. It felt like winning. In late November, Rochelle called, first time since the appraisal. "Can I ask you something?" "Okay, my half of the house." She paused. "What would you give me for it?" My heart stopped. "You want to sell to me?" "I need the money. The divorce is final next month, and Malcolm managed to claim most of our joint assets. I need cash to start over." Her voice was steady, but I could hear the defeat underneath. "I've had offers, other developers, investors, but I wanted to give you the option first." "How much?" "The appraisal says $140. I'll take $120. $120,000. I had $18,000 saved. I'd been building credit, slowly, carefully. But no bank would give me a loan that size on my income, not with my history. "I can't afford that," I said quietly. "I know, I had to ask." She sighed. "I'll probably sell to one of the investors. They'll want to flip it or rent it out. You'd have a co-owner again, but at least it would be business, not personal." "When do you need to decide?" "Soon. My lawyer says I need to have everything settled by the end of the year." We hung up. I sat at Grandma's kitchen table and stared at the wall. I'd fought so hard to keep this house, had sacrificed so much, and now I was about to lose it anyway, not because I'd failed, but because I'd succeeded just barely enough to keep it this long and barely wasn't enough for this. I called Mr. Patterson. "Is there any way I could buy Rochelle's half?" "Not through traditional financing, no. Your debt-to-income ratio, your credit history, it's not favorable for a mortgage of that size." "There has to be something." He was quiet for a moment. "There is one option. It's unconventional, but given the circumstances and your relationship with your sister, it might work." "What?" "A private payment agreement. You would contract directly with Rochelle, monthly payments over an extended period, with interest that compensates her for the delay. It would need to be properly structured, documented, legally binding, but it would avoid banks entirely." "Would she agree to something like that?" "You'd have to ask. But Keisha, you need to understand, this would be a significant financial commitment. 10, maybe 15 years of payments. Any missed payment could put you in default. You'd have no safety net." "I don't have a safety net now." I called Rochelle that night, explained the idea, monthly payments, 15 years, with interest calculated to give her more than $120 by the end. "Let me think about it," she said. 2 days later, she called back. "My lawyer says I need cash now. The divorce settlement requires me to pay Malcolm out for his share of my business assets, and I have to do it by January 1st. I can't wait 15 years. I'm sorry, Keisha. I have to sell to someone who can pay immediately. How much time do I have?" "The buyers want to close before Christmas. About a month." 1 month. I had 1 month left in my grandmother's house. "I understand," I said, because what else could I say? "I really am sorry. If there was another way..." I know. She hung up. I sat in the silence and tried to imagine leaving. Tried to imagine packing up my things, finding an apartment, explaining to Nina that we had to go. Tried to imagine someone else living here, strangers in Grandma's house, changing things, erasing the history from these walls. I couldn't do it. The next weeks were a kind of torture. I went to work, I came home, I sat in rooms I was about to lose and tried to memorize everything. The way the light came through the kitchen window in the morning, the creak of the fourth step on the stairs, the view from Grandma's bedroom of the oak tree in the backyard. Tamara called. I heard about Rochelle selling. News travels fast. What are you going to do? Find an apartment, start over, again. That's not fair. No, but it's reality. I wish I could help. You've helped enough. More than enough. Not enough if you're losing the house. We sat in silence on the phone for a moment. Then she said, How much do you need? Tamara, no. How much? $120,000. It's not possible. What if I told you I could get you 70? I couldn't speak. My divorce settlement came through last month. I've been sitting on it trying to decide what to do. I was going to put it in savings, maybe invest some. But this, helping you keep Grandma's house, this feels more important. I can't take your divorce money. It's a loan. We'll set it up properly with a contract and everything. You'll pay me back over time. I'll charge you interest, minimal, but enough to make it legitimate. 10 years, manageable payments. I'll make more than I would in a savings account and you get the house. Tamara, let me do this. Please, your family. This house is family. And I'm tired of watching good people lose things they deserve because they won't ask for help. I was crying. I don't deserve this. Yes, you do. You've worked yourself to death for this house. Let someone help carry the weight. I need to find another $50,000. Then we'll find it together. I spent the next 3 days in a blur of phone calls and meetings. My nursing home administrator listened to my situation, thought about it, then offered me a $10,000 advance against my salary. I could pay it back over the next year, $150 from each paycheck. You're a good employee, she said. We don't want to lose you. And honestly, this is an investment in keeping you stable. Thank you, I managed. Also, my brother-in-law does private lending, small personal loans for people who can't get traditional financing. The interest rates aren't great, but if you're desperate, I'm desperate. She gave me his number. I called him that afternoon, met him the next day. He was a careful man, asked detailed questions, ran my credit, looked at my income. I can do $13,000 at 12%, 5-year term. Payments would be around $290 a month. It was high. It would be tight, but I needed it. Yes. I was still short $27,000. I sat at Grandma's kitchen table and did the math over and over. 70 from Tamara, 10 from the nursing home, 13 from the private lender, 18 I'd saved. That was $111,000. I needed $120, $9,000. I was $9,000 short. I started calling everyone I knew, explained the situation, asked if anyone could help. Most people couldn't. A few gave what they could. My aunt loaned me $500, my uncle $1,000, a friend from my bartending days in Jackson sent $200. I was still short $6,500. I listed every possession I owned on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, anywhere I could. Sold my laptop, my phone, my furniture, my clothes, everything that wasn't essential. I made $3,000. I was $3,500 short. December 20th. 5 days until Christmas. 10 days until the sale closed. I sat in the empty house. I'd sold almost everything and accepted that it was over. I'd fought as hard as I could fight. I'd asked for help, borrowed money, sold everything I owned, and it still wasn't enough. Then my phone rang. Mr. Patterson. Keisha, I've been thinking about your situation. There's nothing left to think about. I disagree. I'd like to offer you a personal loan, $3,500, interest-free, payable when you're able. I couldn't speak. I knew your grandmother for 40 years. She was a remarkable woman, and she believed in you. I've watched you fight for this house for over a year now. I've watched you sacrifice, work yourself to exhaustion, ask for help when it clearly broke something in you to do it. And I'll be damned if I'm going to watch you lose it when you're this close. Mr. Patterson? This is not charity. This is an investment in the kind of person who deserves to win sometimes. You'll pay me back when you can. And if that takes 20 years, so be it. I was crying so hard I could barely breathe. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep that house. Make your grandmother proud. On December 23rd, I walked into Mr. Patterson's office with cashier's checks, wire confirmations, and a stack of loan documents. Rochelle was there, quiet, watching. We signed papers, money transferred, ownership changed hands. At the end, Rochelle handed me her key. It's yours now, all of it. I took the key, held it, felt the weight of everything it represented. I'm sorry your marriage didn't work out, I said. I'm not anymore. She looked at me with something that might have been respect. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. Stronger than I am, honestly. You'll be okay. Maybe, but I won't forget what you did, how hard you fought. I'll remember that. She left. Mr. Patterson handed me the deed, my name alone on the ownership line. Congratulations, he said. I couldn't speak, just held the paper and shook. I drove home in a car I'd almost sold to a house that was finally, completely mine. Sat in the driveway for a long time, looking at it. The shutters I'd painted, the garden I'd planted, the windows I'd kept lit even when I could barely afford the electricity. Nina was waiting inside, meowing for dinner. I fed her, then sat at the kitchen table, the only piece of furniture I hadn't sold, and cried. Relief, exhaustion, disbelief, joy, grief for everything I'd lost to get here. I'd done it. Not alone, not perfectly, but I'd done it. That first night in the house that was entirely mine, I couldn't sleep. Not from joy, not from relief, from math. I lay on the inflatable mattress I'd bought with borrowed money and calculated. Tamara, $483 a month for 10 years. The private lender, $290 a month for 5 years. The nursing home, $150 per paycheck for a year. Mr. Patterson. Undefined, but I owed him. And debt without a deadline felt heavier somehow, like I could never truly say I was done. That was at least $873 a month in debt payments. My take-home after taxes was about $2,200. Utilities ran $250. Food, maybe $300 if I was careful. Car insurance, gas. The property taxes I'd need to save for next November. I did the math 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. The numbers never changed. I had maybe $100 of breathing room each month. One unexpected expense, car trouble, house repair, medical bill, and I'd be underwater again. I'd won the house, but I'd mortgaged my entire life to do it. At 3 a.m, I got up and walked through the empty rooms. My footsteps echoed. I'd sold almost everything to make this happen, and now I lived in a house that looked abandoned. No couch, no TV, no dresser, just the kitchen table, the inflatable mattress, and Nina sleeping in a cardboard box I'd turned into a makeshift cat bed. I sat at the table and put my head in my hands. This was victory? This was winning? The next morning was Christmas Eve. I went to the store and bought the cheapest inflatable mattress they had, some thrift store dishes, groceries on sale. Every purchase felt dangerous. Every dollar spent was a dollar I might need later, might regret spending, might miss when something broke. I set up the mattress in Grandma's bedroom, inflated it with a hand pump because I couldn't afford the electric one. My arms ached by the time it was full. I lay down on it to test it, felt it sag in the middle, and thought about how Rochelle probably had a real bed in her new apartment, a real couch, real furniture that didn't come from the clearance aisle. I'd won. She'd lost. So why did it feel like we'd both lost? That night, I sat in the dark living room and let myself think the thoughts I'd been avoiding. What if this was it? What if I'd sacrificed everything? My mother's ring, every possession I owned, my last shred of financial security, just to live in poverty in a house I could barely maintain. I'd proven Rochelle wrong. I'd kept the house. But at what cost? January came, and with it, the reality of the debt. The first payments came due. I set them up on autopay because I didn't trust myself to remember, then watched my bank account drop by $873 in a single day. What was left looked impossibly small. I started having nightmares again, different ones. In these, I was in the house, but bills kept arriving. Envelopes sliding under the door, piling up faster than I could open them. Property taxes, water bills, electric bills, loan payments, medical bills for illnesses I hadn't even had yet. In the dream, I'd open them one by one, watching the numbers climb higher and higher, knowing I couldn't pay, knowing I'd lose everything anyway. I'd wake up gasping, check my bank account on my phone just to see the numbers, real and concrete. Not enough, never enough, but real. Some nights I'd lie awake calculating how many years until I was free of the debt. 10 years until Tamara was paid off, 5 until the private lender, 1 until the nursing home. But Mr. Patterson was indefinite. And what if something else happened? What if I needed to borrow more? What if this debt was just the beginning? I'd be 42 before I paid Tamara back. 42 years old, and only then would I truly own this house free and clear. If I made every payment, if nothing went wrong, if I didn't get sick, didn't lose my job, didn't have a major repair I couldn't afford. The weight of it sat on my chest at night, made it hard to breathe. I started checking my bank account obsessively, multiple times a day, making sure the payments had gone through, making sure nothing had bounced, making sure I still had enough to survive until the next paycheck. The numbers became an obsession. I'd calculate down to the dollar how much I could spend on groceries, on gas, on anything. One night in February, I bought a rotisserie chicken for dinner because it was on sale. Then I spent an hour feeling guilty about it, wondering if I should have bought something cheaper, if those $6 could have been saved, if I was being irresponsible with money that wasn't really mine to spend freely. I couldn't enjoy anything, couldn't buy myself a coffee without calculating whether it was worth it, couldn't see a movie, couldn't go out with friends, couldn't do anything that cost money without the voice in my head asking, can you really afford this? Is this worth going deeper into debt? Tamara came over one weekend and found me sitting at the kitchen table with a calculator and a notebook, writing out every expense for the month. What are you doing? Making sure I can pay everyone. You've been making the payments. I would have told you if anything bounced. I know, I just need to check. She sat down across from me. Keisha, you won. You got the house. It's over. It's not over. It won't be over for 10 years, maybe more. So you're going to spend the next 10 years torturing yourself about it? I'm being responsible. You're being obsessed. Maybe I was, but I couldn't stop. The debt was real. The payments were real. The possibility of losing everything if I missed one payment was real. I started having panic attacks. Small ones at first, just tightness in my chest when I thought about money. Then bigger ones. I'd be at work and suddenly couldn't breathe, would have to excuse myself to the bathroom, sit in a stall trying to remember how to inhale properly. The house was mine. All mine. But it didn't feel like freedom. It felt like a weight I'd be carrying for the rest of my life. One night in March, I sat in the dark and let myself think the unthinkable. Maybe Rochelle had been right. Maybe I should have taken the $70,000 that first day. Maybe I should have walked away with cash in my pocket and no debt and started over somewhere cheaper, somewhere easier. I'd have nothing to show for it, but I'd also have nothing keeping me up at night, nothing making my chest tight with anxiety, nothing stealing every moment of joy before I could feel it. I thought about calling Rochelle, asking if her offer was still good, if she'd buy me out now, but I knew the answer. She'd moved on. She had her own life to rebuild. And besides, who would buy a half share of a house from someone who'd fought so hard to keep it? I was trapped, not by Rochelle, not by the house, but by my own choices, my own pride, my own stubborn refusal to admit defeat. I'd won, but winning felt like drowning in slow motion. Tamara called that evening. So, it's mine. All of it? All of it. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. I'm coming over, we're celebrating. I don't have any furniture. We'll sit on the floor, I don't care. She came over with takeout and cheap champagne. We sat on the living room floor and toasted to grandma, to stubborn women, to houses that refuse to be taken away. How does it feel? She asked. Like breathing. Like I can finally breathe. We talked for hours about everything and nothing, about the journey that had brought me here, the year and a half of fighting, the people who'd helped, the things I'd learned about myself. When she left, I walked through the house slowly. Every room empty except for the kitchen table and my sleeping bag in Grandma's room. But it was mine, every inch of it. I thought about Rochelle in that living room 18 months ago, calling me a failure in front of everyone. I thought about her broken marriage, her financial disaster, her need for my signature, my help, my consent. She'd come to me because she had no choice, and I'd helped her. Not because I wanted revenge, but because it was the right thing to do. Because refusing would have made me smaller, meaner, someone I didn't want to be. And in the end, it hadn't mattered what she'd called me, what anyone thought I was. I'd kept the house. I'd built something from nothing. I'd become someone different than the broken person who'd shown up here in August of last year. Not perfect, not successful by most measures, but whole, standing. Mine. I went to bed that night in my sleeping bag on the floor of Grandma's bedroom and slept better than I had in years. The next morning was Christmas Eve. I woke early, drove to the store with money I'd borrowed from Tamara, bought a cheap inflatable mattress and some groceries, came home and set up the most basic version of a life. I had debt now, so much debt. 15 years of payments to Tamara, 5 years to the private lender, a year to the nursing home, an undefined timeline to Mr. Patterson. But it was good debt. Debt that meant I'd won, not lost. I started replacing the things I'd sold, slowly, carefully. Thrift store furniture, secondhand dishes, a used laptop for school. None of it matched. All of it was mine. In January, I started my next semester. 3 classes this time. I was getting better at balancing work and school. I'd learned to study during my lunch break, to write papers after Nina fell asleep on my lap. In February, I bought paint and started redoing the bedrooms. 1 room at a time, weekend by weekend. Chose colors Grandma never would have chosen, made the house mine in ways that honored her but didn't worship her. Rochelle and I texted occasionally, polite, distant. She told me about her new apartment in East Memphis, her job at a medical billing company, the life she was building from the pieces of her old one. I told her about school, about the house, about Nina. We saw each other at Easter at Aunt Diane's house. It was awkward at first, then easier. We didn't talk about the house, about what she'd said, about what I'd done. We just existed near each other. Family by blood and history, but not by choice. And that was okay, because I had what I needed. Not just the house, but the knowledge that I'd kept it when everyone expected me to fail, that I'd asked for help when asking felt like dying, that I'd survived the worst year of my life and come out different, harder, better. In May, I finished my 2nd year of community college, straight A's. I applied to transfer to a 4-year program in the fall. In June, I got another promotion at work, assistant director, $40,000 a year. In July, I sat in Grandma's garden, my garden, picking tomatoes and beans and squash, and I thought about the arc of the last 2 years, from failure to this, from nothing to something, from broken to whole. Rochelle never asked for anything else after the house sale, never called needing help, never reached out for more than holiday pleasantries. I heard through family that she was doing okay, that her life was stabilizing, that she'd learned things about herself she hadn't wanted to know. We both had. And maybe that's what Grandma had intended all along, not to give us a house, but to teach us something we couldn't learn any other way. She'd given Rochelle a mirror, and she'd given me a chance to be more than what people thought I was. I took it. Barely, desperately, imperfectly. But I took it. And now, Sitting in the garden she'd planted 50 years ago, in the house she'd willed to me knowing exactly what it would cost, I understood what she'd really given me. Not property, not money, not security, but the chance to discover that I was stronger than anyone had believed, including myself. The tomato in my hand was warm from the sun, perfectly ripe. I put it in my basket with the others and kept picking. Behind me, the house stood solid, mine, waiting. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And before you go, click on hype to help this video reach even more people. Your support keeps these voices alive and keeps our community growing. Thank you for listening.